Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at my legend run, which all started with one tweet that I got where someone played a team that I had in my top team video for the Ultra League if you haven't checked this one out. So I wanted to try this team as well, especially because I can finally use my shiny XL, like XXL Greninja with PvP IVs in the Ultra League again. And yeah, I was actually looking at some different kind of leads for this team as well because I was not too sure about Gliscor. One big issue that I saw for this team would have been the Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini would be a little bit tricky, which, spoiler alert, we're going to face here as well. But this is going to be my legend run. I started at like, I think 2,830 points, and in 4 sets I got up to legend and like 3,015 elo. Here you're gonna see, by the way, a boost from Gliscor, and honestly, we're having 2 Night Slash users in here, so you're going to encounter a lot of boost. I just put in the last 2 sets that I played with this team. There would have been way more gameplay as well, but like, honestly, this team was amazing. The opponent gets the 10% chance here for dropping my attack again, but we're still +1. And I have to say, for Gliscor, definitely run Night Slash. Night Slash is way better for this team compared to the other move of Aerial Ace here. As you're gonna see that the opponent has the Obstagoon, and I have to stay in here because I have to align my Poliwrath. If I don't align my Poliwrath, it's going to be tough, and the opponent swaps into a Trevenant. Here, I have to say the game was insanely clunky for me, which was really annoying to play in, but still, we're going to be able to hit the Night Slash here. We know that we can still survive one move with the Greninja, but you're going to see it, for example, I think here for the next Night Slash, where I wanted to go for it straight away, but because it was a little bit clunky, I went for an extra fast move. This gave the opponent a free fast move, which can actually impact the matchup, but luckily it just barely didn't, so this was a little bit unlucky in general. But we will be able to win this first game here now because we still have the Obstagoon aligned against our Poliwrath. Moving on to the next team. We're going to have a little bit of a weakness here, sadly, against the Jellicent. This was the first time I encountered Jellicent in the lead, and I kind of wanted to see how this is going to go here with Night Slash on my Shadow Gliscor. And I have to say, I would play this matchup way differently nowadays, which you're going to see here as well, because I am going to be forced to use a shield here. They have the super effective Surf, and this would definitely do a ton of damage as it's also a stab move. But what I would do is most likely go for another Night Slash and now swap out into my Poliwrath, trying to catch a Surf, which I didn't do here, and I had to basically use another shield against them. And now I thought, oh, I can just farm them down here, right? I was wrong, and so basically, I lost 2 shields here. I'm still going to be able to survive the Surf, but I'm going to be in a deeper at health, and so we're going to be in a really tough spot, sadly. And we're going to see the swap into the Greedent, and they're going to have an Annihilate in the back. Annihilate going to be very tough for your backline, but you can at least still swap out into your Poliwrath. Poliwrath is basically always a safe swap. Poliwrath is one of the best safe swaps in the Ultra League right now anyway, because of the coverage that you have. Like, basically, the hardest answers are something like, I don't know, Giratina or something like this, which is still going to be able to hit with the super effective AC wind, which is kind of nice. So there are not a lot of really counters for Poliwrath, which makes it also so strong in the normal game, but here I'm kind of, yeah, I had to forfeit. Like, there was not a lot that I can do about it. We can move on to the next game. We encounter a Gliscor Mirror in the lead. This is going to be a little bit tricky. If the opponent runs Aerial Ace, it's going to be okay for you because you can outspeed them. Here they're running Night Slash. I kind of want to catch a Night Slash here onto my Poliwrath because I have an ABB style line. I kind of still need to keep my lead around. And good thing for us, because they're going to have a Poliwrath here on their own. I can go for my own Scald here, but the opponent actually wants the MP tie, which is a little bit annoying. It's going to be a Scald from the opponent. They got the debuff. Let's see if we at least get the debuff. That would be fair, right? Let's take a look at this. Scald coming through. And I don't get a debuff. And I have to say, while I got a lot of, or like not a lot of, but like a decent amount of double boost with Night Slash, but I also have 2 Pokemon, so it's kind of what you expect. I basically never got a Scald debuff. Like, literally, I was so kind of furious about this because, yeah, I'm close to Legend, and yes, I have not hit Legend yet. Usually I hit Legend way earlier, but this season was just not for me, but also had a lot of stress with university, which I'm finally done for this semester, so I have now 6 weeks of break from university. While I gonna see here at least a boost from our Gliscor, which is amazing. We can go for another move there. We can even still reach another Night Slash here for the next turn. We're gonna be able to connect this one as well. The opponent uses a shield, and we're gonna get a 4 times boost here. So I guess I can now take the not getting the Scald buff there if I get 2 buffs or the Night Slash, as we can just go for a Night Slash here against the opponent's Giratina. I could decide to just let the next move go through from the opponent and just keep it to my Greninja and just go for 2 Night Slashes there, but I just wanted to see the damage of +4 Night Slash from a Shadow Gliscor on the Giratina. I think we all want to see it, right? Let's take a look at it. Going to do basically nearly enough to completely knock them out, which is absolutely wild. They can go for a Dragon Claw here. I don't really care. 1 Night Slash is coming through. The 1 Night Slash is all it takes, and we can easily win this game now. So, good game there to the opponent. We can just farm them down, and this is going to be it for this one. Moving on to the next opponent, we're going to have a Clefable in the lead. This is going to be a very, very tough one. You see my backline does not want to encounter Clefable at all. I'm going to let the first move go through. Kind of want to showcase that I'm not really that weak against Clefable in the back while I am. And so I can still at least go for an Earthquake. And if this lands, we're going to be in a great spot because then we can even farm them down with Pokemon that we have in the back here. I try to go for the Night Slash, but apparently they win CMP tie, which I did not expect at all. And so they can go for the knockout here, which I'm actually going to take because I wanted to farm them down with a Greninja. Did not work out. They still get to another move here, which is going to be the Media Mesh again. But we are going to be in a tough spot now, but they're swapping out into a normal Stunfisk, which is a little bit tricky. They have super effective coverage here with Discharge, of course, but also we're going to have a very super effective damage there as well with our Hydro Cannon, which is kind of nice. Discharge is coming through, but I can now go for the Night Slash, just trying to fish for a boost here. Let's see if we can do this. We're going to see the Night Slash coming through. They're going to let this move go through, and I can counter them down. So let's see what's coming in next. It's going to be a Jellicent, and this game is basically over at this point, right? Like, the opponent has great alignment here as well. They can just go ahead and go for a Shadow Ball. They resist all of our moves. Of course, we don't get the Scald debuff. And because we did not get the Scald debuff here, I kind of needed to go for a little bit of a different play, I would say. The opponent goes for their Shadow Ball, and so I decided to go for the Icy Wind instead. Main reason for this is I would be able to survive a Surf if it's debuffed onto our Greninja, but we would not be able to do this if we are not debuffed onto the opponent, basically. But the opponent swaps out here anyway. I can go for another Icy Wind here to drop the opponent's attack, and this is going to be our win con. If we didn't do this, I think it would have been a little bit trickier. I'm not too sure if maybe a Scald actually would have helped us more actually with the damage output, but I'm going to try to now put them into a range where I can just go for 3 Night Slashes and win this game. But it's going to be tough because I have to call that this is a bait, and it was a bait. And with this, thanks to the debuff, we were able to survive the Surf. Greninja is going to be able to shield up the next Surf, and they need at least like 2 more fast moves to get to another move. We have 2 Night Slashes stored, we win easily CMP, and with this debuff, we were actually able to still win this game, which was basically impossible to win, which is absolutely madness. Honestly, I came back from so many bad matchups. How do you play against a Shadow Dragonite? You're going to stay in here. You're going to stay in, you're going to go for Night Slash, and you're going to play it out in the 1 shield scenario, basically. So you're going to go for 1 Night Slash here. The opponent might want to shield. Sometimes they don't shield, which is also totally okay for you. But what you're going to want to do here is use a shield, go for another Night Slash, and then swap out eventually into your Poliwrath. Usually they don't use a shield here because they know that they survive this, and they do actually use a shield here, so it's a great example for not how to play this. But if they would not use a shield, you would be able to just counter them down, which would be kind of nice. But here in this case, of course, it's going to be a little bit different. We will see here at least the Icy Wind coming through and connecting against the opponent, not knocking them out because they actually stopped into a Kofak Regus, but it still allows us to go for a Scald. Hopefully we're gonna get another debuff here, right? 50% chance, 3 so far that didn't get a debuff. We're going to be at 4 now, which is just absolutely madness. But it doesn't really matter because it can just swap into our Greninja, and Greninja can take advantage of the situation. We can just go for the full farm down against the opponent's Kofak Regus, which is amazing. Shadow Ball is coming through, and we can just go for the full farm down here, getting a ton of energy, and they have a Registeel in the back. Usually a bad matchup, but if we have a lot of energy, Hydro Cannon definitely going to chunk, but you still have to go for at least 3 Hydro Cannons, most likely more like 4 or like 3 Hydro Cannons in 1 Night Slash, but it's going to be a little bit of a trickier one here. Exactly, we're going to have to catch a move here. Did not work out at all. The opponent swaps into their Dragonite, which is going to be a little bit awkward, and I can still get at least 1 more fast move off here, but I would get farmed down otherwise, so I'm forced to go for a Night Slash here, so it's going to be a really tough one. We don't get the debuff, or we don't get the buff here, I wanted to say, and now it depends on what the opponent is going to do here. They're going to go for the Zap Cannon, they get the drop, which is basically killing us this game. Hydro Cannon would not knock them out anymore, they would get to move in time, but not if you get another lucky boost. I actually would have won anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but still, it is really, really cool, and this was the first set for this video, and we're going to end up at 2,970 with a 4-1, and honestly, like, this team was just so amazing. Let's move on to the second set for today. We're going to encounter in the lead here Skeledirge. The entire team can actually play against Skeledirge, which is kind of cool. It was super laggy in this kind of matchup, I still remember this. Like, you don't really see it too much because the gameplay is a little bit sped up, of course, which is like kind of normal for YouTube. But it is definitely a little bit annoying to play against the current lag that is happening. Here I wanted to basically swap out, or like thought about swapping out, but like the opponent definitely gonna go for a Disarming Voice anyway. It's actually a pretty bad matchup in the 2-shield scenario, but luckily the opponent decided to swap out here, which is amazing. There's still going to have 55 energy stored onto their Skeledirge. We have to kind of keep this in mind here. But I can at least go up against the Greedent and I can go for a Scald. And I think with the counter damage that we have here from our Shadow Poliwrath, we're going to be able to do enough damage with the Scald as well to knock them out. Let's take a look at this. Scald coming through. Scald gonna get the knockout, and in it comes again a Jellicent. Jellicent was a little bit of my nemesis here. Like, this Pokemon was everywhere and definitely a little bit tricky to play against unless you have your Greninja aligned, which is definitely a great matchup for you. But at least you're gonna be able to go for another Scald. Again, like the Scald just now didn't get a debuff. I think this one actually got a debuff if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, I actually got a debuff here. But yeah, again, like, it was not really my luckiest day in terms of Scald debuffs, but I got a lot of decent Night Slash boost, but I feel like it was kind of appropriate for the amount that I used as well. So here, we're going to be able to go for a Night Slash. I predicted that the opponent would want to swap out here, which worked out amazing. They still have now 95 energy. Now it's going to be 50 energy, so they still have another move stored here, so they can go for this at this point of time. They're going to have, after this one, I think, 25 energy, I think, so they would get to another move here, so I decided to go for the Night Slash. I maybe would have been able to farm down, but there's currently like around a 50-50 chance of them getting the move off before my fast move damage comes through, which is just an inconsistency, so I didn't want to go for it because I can win like this as well. Next opponent, Annihilableed. Here is going to be actually a very decent matchup for us because it's exactly where we want to have this Pokemon, because we can just go for the Wing Attack, which is super effective. They went straight for the Night Slash, which was kind of cool, but they made actually like what they tried to do here was actually kind of funny because it was kind of a smart thing to do, and it would have most likely caught me off guard if the opponent played a little bit differently here. But we can still go for Night Slash. You're going to see it soon as well. The opponent lets this move go through, and they decide to catch the move from the opponent. And look at this, by the way. The opponent was running Ice Punch and Night Slash. So basically they wanted to try to bait me out there with the Night Slash, thinking that they don't have basically the Ice Punch on this moveset, and then try to win basically against the Gliscor with the Ice Punch, which is like such a smart way of playing this, so very cool there. But they're sadly going to have in the back the Shadow Zapdos here, and yeah, this Pokemon was really tricky to play against for this team. Like, Shadow Zapdos is destroying this team here. Basically all Pokemon are kind of weak to it. I can still at least go for a Night Slash, that's at least what I thought, but I'm not actually able to get there, which is really annoying. They're gonna go for another Drill Peck here. At least I can now go for my Night Slash. Now, the opponent most likely knows at this point that I'm kind of weak to this Pokemon in the back, and so what they're gonna do here is swap out the Annihilate, which just got me an extra fast move, which is kind of funny, but they can still go for a Drill Peck. But at this point, they should be out of energy, so I can still outspeed them with the Greninja, but it just depends on what they're going to have in the back now, if it's going to be something that we can deal with, because, yeah, Night Slash, maybe a boost would be really cool here. Let's see, it's going to be a Tentacruel. If we got the boost here, maybe we actually still had a chance of winning this game, but, yeah, I'm still kind of hoping for the boost. It's my only way of winning this game here, because Tentacruel does way more damage with its fast moves, has way more bulk than the Greninja has, but we can still go for more Night Slashes. Do we get the boost here? We do not, and so sadly this game is over. This is going to be a loss, and as you can see here, I did not have like only like super easy games or whatever, but it is fine. Let's move on to the next game coming up. Here's one of the reasons why you really need to have a Gliscor in the lead. This thing is, with the backline here, you're going to be double weak against Electric-type Pokemon, and even Gliscor is a little bit weak against Electric-type Pokemon because, yeah, the way of how, like, basically Electric-type damage works also in Pokemon Go, that if you have a Flying type and a Ground type, it's only, like, -1 resistance instead of, like, doing no damage like in the main series games. So it's a little bit annoying here because the matchup is way closer than I wanted to, but you see me here not going for the Earthquake at all. Like, even here, I know that the opponent is predicting that I would go for the Earthquake, and I still decided not to do it because I know that my play here basically is to try to knock them out with my other Pokemon. They can not reach another move because they have another Jellicent in the back. Honestly, Jellicent was so annoying for me to deal with, but I can go for the Scald, and I actually get an attack drop here, which is really, really good for me, as I can go for another AC Wind, which guarantees me the attack drop, because this might allow me to get into this matchup here, like still going to be able to survive the Shadow Ball, and maybe swap out later into my Greninja and try to store up extra energy. You see me here already trying to click. Can I get there? I can get into my Greninja, and this Pokemon is a hard wall for Jellicent, especially double debuff. Look at the damage output. It does do basically no damage at all, and I'm gonna overfarm quite a bit because I know that I'm going to most likely face up against the Ampharos later on again, and I kind of need the energy for that, so I can go up to basically 100 energy, go for the Night Slash, knock out the opponent's Jellicent, which is a big pain for us anyway, but they're going to have in the back a Shadow Shiny variant of the Poliwrath, and this is going to be very annoying for us to deal with because, yeah, they can just counter me down. I have only Night Slash on my Gliscor, which is a little bit awkward as well. They still have the Ampharos, and basically this game is over at this point, right? You're wrong, because actually we can farm them down here. They're gonna go back, of course, into the Poliwrath. We still have a shield, but we still have a Scald stored from the Jellicent matchup, and this is all it takes to knock them out. Good game there. Let's move on to the second to last battle for today. We're going to encounter here the Talonflame in the lead. What I do here is I go for 7 and then swap out, because they always go for Flame Charge. I know it's a little bit of a risky play. If they would go for Fly, it would be a little bit annoying, but they usually go for Flame Charge because it's going to give them a better matchup in general. But they decide to even swap out here into the Cresselia, allowing me to get some damage onto them, which is kind of nice. But yeah, you kind of want to swap out, in my opinion, after like 7 fast moves of your Gliscor, trying to not go for a charge move, and then try to catch the Flame Charge is what I would go for here. So you're gonna see the attack dot coming through again against the opponent, which is kind of nice. And I'm gonna try to maybe, okay, the opponent actually going to get another attack drop there as well with Moonblast. Like, honestly, there's no video for me where I don't get, like, double Moonblast debuffs. It's kind of wild. But I can go for Night Slash here, and I think I can just try to go for the full farm down, but I decide actually to go for another charge move. I feel like this was a mistake. Like, I would have mostly nowadays not go for that, because I could have just went ahead and just farmed them down because they were double debuffed. But here, I was catching another Flame Charge on a Water-type Pokemon, which was absolutely insane. But this game is not over yet. Like, this game is definitely a little bit of a trickier one, as you're going to have the Clefable against our Greninja. But this is the cool thing about Greninja. Just like the fast Hydro Cannons coming through are just absolutely madness. Like, this thing is just so spammy with like those hard-hitting moves, and I can just go for another one here. This is going to be able to get the final shit from the opponent, but I can even still connect another Hydro Cannon here, and this might even put them into range where I can just go for a Wing Attack plus Night Slash, which would be really cool. So let's see what we can do here. I'm going to let this move go through this time around, and it's now all down to Gliscor. Can Gliscor still win this game for us? It's going to be tough because I swap out immediately into the Talonflame. I'm just over farming at this point. I can use a shield here as well, but let's see, the Flame Charge is coming through. I can go for 2 more fast moves. A Night Slash is coming through as well. It's going to do some decent damage. Is enough to knock them out. Let's take a look at this. It is not, but 2 more fast moves is enough, and we have the Earthquake stored. And with this, Clefable goes down, and we can move on to the final battle, which was the most insane one of them all. Let's take a look at the final one. Horrific lead for us. Literally horrific. You usually want to stay in for a little bit though, and then try to catch the Ice Punch, which of course did work out amazing, right? We get completely hardwalled with a Jellicent. Like, completely hardwalled so far. There's not a lot that I can do about it. And let me tell you, it's going to be even worse, which you're going to see here as well. We're gonna get the attack drop at least, which is kind of nice at this point. Like, kind of at least we're gonna get some at the end here. And I decided to use a shield. Why did I do this? Because I saw that basically the opponent is in range for like 2 more Scalds. And so they're going to be forced to use a shield later on anyway. And I got another debuff here as well, so kind of at least getting some more debuffs towards the end here as well again. I can just go for another Scald here, and I get them insanely low. And this might be my chance of winning this game, because here we're going to even get a 3rd debuff, which is just absolutely wild. I will get them basically into a range where I can farm them down with Greninja. And this is basically the play that I want to go for. I just want to go for the full farm down here. They're going to go for another charge move. This is totally okay for me. It's going to be a Surf. It's like triple debuffed Surf, also resisted, and as you're gonna see here, I'm just gonna go for the full farm down. They're still going to have a little bit of HP here, going for the Shadow Ball, but as you're gonna see, we have now 100 energy. And they have a Tapu Fini in the back. I told you in the beginning, Tapu Fini is tricky for this team. But we can still reach those Hydro Cannons. I still don't give up at this point of time. It is going to be a tough one though. They kind of still don't want to go for the Surf here, I would imagine. And so I try to swap out and go for the sneaky Night Slash. Not too sure if I actually revealed the Night Slash in this game already. No, I did not. So like, it could have been also the Aerial Ace, but it wasn't, of course. And we're gonna see now the matchup against the opponents alone in Sand Slash. We can go for the Night Slash, and you're gonna put the opponent now with this one into also Greninja's Night Slash range, which is really important for us, as they're gonna undercharge the Ice Punch a little bit too much. They have to go for another one. This was a little bit too little damage for them here, and so we can go for the Night Slash now against the opponent. They went for an extra fast move, and weirdly enough, they decided to use a shield here, and so we can win the CMP tie for the next matchup here as well. This is going to be amazing, because we're still going to have a shield left, and now we just have to reach another Hydro Cannon. Can we reach this in time? And yes, we can completely flip a hard counter matchup, and with this, we're going to be able to hit a legend in Pokemon Go. This team was absolutely amazing. Climbing 190 points in the 4th set was just so nice. So definitely, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you have not already, and check out the videos on the screen, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.